I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and part 2 of the full review of the Samsung Galaxy Rugby Pro starts in just a second. But first, I'd love to our partners at Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like this for use in our one-paw bandit game, which we turn around and give to you for free at instantwin.phonedog.com. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out without dealing with rebates, paperwork, waiting 8 to 10 weeks for one of those annoying debit cards. At Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out with this device or a 1X Plus or a Galaxy S3 or whatever you buy this holiday season. You'll walk out, if it's a mobile device, without dealing with any rebates. Let's take a look. Part 2, is the Rugby Pro worth considering? We'll find out in the full video review, which starts right now. Part 2 of a review, rather. I almost said dogfight. It's been a wild day in terms of doing dogfights with 4G LTE and more, but this is a review of the Samsung Galaxy Rugby Pro. It's a hardcore device on AT&T, and when I say hardcore, I mean it's because it's got a durable shell that's going to withstand an impact, including when my dumb self dropped it out of my hand, slapped it out of my hand rather by accident, and knocked it over onto concrete while shooting the 4G LTE test earlier today. That said, pretty durable, can't complain there. If you want to know this full specifications, check out part 1, but it's packing a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU, a 4-inch display, a 5-megapixel camera, and Android 4.0 with TouchWiz. Let's jump right into Quadrant Standard here and take a look, because again, I'm interested to see the Quadrant Standard scores here for a device like this, because I'm finding that a lot of these mid-range devices really have some impressive specs. You know, you may be spending $50 or $100 on a device, but you're getting some decent specifications to boot, including dual-core processors, decent displays, decent cameras that have 1080p HD video recording, and of course Android 4.0 and more. So very impressive all around on that front. And again, still, from what I've seen, pretty impressive Quadrant Standard scores as well. Now this is packing 4G LTE, which we'll cover in just a second, but so far so good with the network. I've worked with this device in a couple of different places in the Dallas Metroplex, and I've been relatively impressed with the performance. I haven't had any issues. Of course, AT&T is based in Dallas, so it's been pretty impressive all around. That said, I haven't had any dropped calls or anything like that with this particular device in my testing. That said, 4G LTE, a little bit of a battery hog, but not too bad. I find that with moderate use on this device, I get about 13 to 15 hours, somewhere in that kind of sweet spot of 13 to 15 hours with its 1,850 milliamp hour battery. Now, Quadrant Standard coming in at 5,054 here, so not a bad speed by any stretch of the imagination, especially considering this is really a mid-range, if you can even call it that, a mid-range device. So again, I didn't cover this in part 1, so I'll cover it in part 2. Customizations. There are 7 different home screens on this device, and it brings Android 4.0 with Samsung's TouchWiz user interface to the device. Now, that said, you get some similarities here to the Galaxy S3 and the Note 2, so whether you need a more durable device, you don't want to spend $200 to $300 on the Note 2 or the Galaxy S3, perhaps you're looking for something that's a little bit smaller. This could be a good device for you that brings a lot of those features over to a smaller device. So apps and widgets, for example, we'll go over here in widgets and take a look at what you get. You get the typical Samsung stuff, and of course you can come down here and scroll quickly through those screens, or you can pinch out and see all your different widgets in one easy spot just like that. So you've got that as well. And another thing I find particularly interesting on this device is when you press the physical buttons, you still get a vibration on this device, which is kind of odd because it just creates a strange feeling. I can't really explain it any other way than that. It creates a pretty strange feeling when you press a physical button and still get haptic feedback. I find that to be just relatively interesting. It just feels weird. And then we'll go into speed test and take a look as well. Now begin the test here. We'll load it up on the right server, and we'll do a test here. Now AT&T doesn't give any speed guarantees like Verizon does, but I find LTE to be relatively fast all throughout the area. I'm seeing speeds anywhere from like 12 to 18, what I'm seeing right here, and I've seen it as fast as 35 to 37 megabits per second, depending on what time I access it. Download right now though, 21 megabits per second, almost 22 megabits per second. Upload 11 megabits per second, so an incredibly fast upload speed, a really nice download speed here on AT&T's LTE. That said, it's not quite as saturated as Verizon's LTE, nor is it available in as many markets. Verizon's is pushing, actually is past 400 LTE markets right now. AT&T not so much. And so you may be in an area where if you're debating a device between maybe AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, you know what, Verizon may have LTE in your area, AT&T and Sprint may not. Or vice versa, maybe AT&T has it, Sprint doesn't, or Sprint has it, AT&T doesn't. Whatever the case may be, there are a couple of different devices that are comparable on the different carriers. There's the Galaxy Victory 4G LTE on Sprint. There's the Galaxy Stellar, which is kind of similar in some ways on Verizon as well, and it's free to boot. So you've got a couple of different options that kind of bring the best of Samsung to that mid-range device tier if that's something you want. We'll take a look at camera as well. 5 megapixel camera here with 1080p HD video recording. It's not going to win any awards by any means. That said, you know what, we'll keep it in the family here and pull over the Galaxy Note, and I will take a picture here. No physical button. What I do get though is a couple of different options. I get the panorama mode, so who says the iPhone 5 is the only one that can shoot panoramic shots, excuse me. And then we'll go back here and take a look and go back to single shot. Of course, you have smile shot as well, where you can pick the best picture with a smile. And I can come in here and just take a couple of different pictures. And then I can go in and take a look. So obviously, you know, overall, system performance, relatively responsive. Pinch to zoom is smooth, little to no lag on this device. Portrait to landscape transitions work relatively well. So I think you'll find it's a relatively zippy device all around. The camera's not bad. Now, if you're a photog, you're somebody that likes shooting pictures on your phone on a regular basis, this is not going to be the best camera in the world. So keep that in mind. You know, look for something like the Galaxy S3, the 1X, or actually coming out the 1X Plus. Look for some of the, you know, one with HTC's Image Sense or one of Samsung's high-end devices because they have fantastic cameras. Not to mention the iPhone 5 as well with its shutter, or with its lens rather. So impressive all around on those devices. But that said, not bad at all considering what you get, and again, keeping in mind the price point that you're paying for this particular device. So we'll get out of address book here and go ahead and take a look. So I want to show you again. TouchWiz look and feel throughout this device. Phone, groups, favorites, and contact tabs. Shortcuts through contacts, and of course through the phone as well. When I access that, you'll notice they changed slightly to logs, favorites, and contacts. I can set a favorite device, or favorite person rather, with Alexa Stevenson as my favorite fake person right now. So I can go out of that and take a look at Alexa Stevenson. You can see the star. She's the president of Fake Company Incorporated, as you can see right there. And of course I have the mobile with the ability to message and call and email, groups, and then of course notes, point of contact for supplies. Now again, something I find interesting on all of these Samsung devices, and in several, HTC does this as well. Both HTC and LG do this depending on which carrier they're customizing for. You'll notice that the messaging icon is slightly different on AT&T devices as opposed to other devices like T-Mobile Samsung devices or Verizon Samsung devices. So I always find it fun to kind of see those little carrier customizations just like that. So then that happens to be one of them. But it looks very similar across the board there as well. And of course you've got maps on this device, and we'll go ahead and zoom out here so you can take a look at this. And so bam, you know, again, relatively responsive, incredibly easy to use all around with Skip. And again, Google Maps continues to be an excellent solution, particularly for those people that don't like Apple's iOS maps, or perhaps they, you know, they don't care for the other third-party solutions in the various carriers, or the various OS stores, if you will. Very responsive here, incredible navigation when it comes to directions. I can find my location, I can type in whatever, Austin, Texas, and we'll bring it up, and of course I can get directions there. Easy, easy. And I can access all those different places. So again, turn-by-turn navigation, it's free. You don't have to worry about spending $10 for a service anymore. It's all on the Android platform, and of course it's come to several other platforms as well. Windows Phone, and then of course Apple has their own solution. That said, a really great all-around well-done job on the Galaxy Rugby Pro. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for continuing coverage, but again, another device, another mid-range device that I really like on AT&T, and that is the Samsung Galaxy Rugby Pro. It's an impressive spec list. It's very durable. That's obviously not something that's going to break the device, but very durable all around, and great for those people that want decent specs, but you know what? They need a device that can get them through the day and get them through the hard work that they're doing on a regular basis. It's a good device. I'd recommend it. I've had nothing but good reports from it, with the exception of that strange browser thing that happened in part 1, but I have a feeling that if you didn't watch that, it's because of the little AT&T browser bar down here at the bottom that's causing the issue, because now it seems to be working perfectly fine. Keep it locked on the site for continuing coverage. Hit me up on Twitter, PhoneDog_Aaron, Facebook, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. We're giving away awesome smartphones and the greatest tech giveaway ever too. Check it out on Facebook. And be sure to hit me up on Twitter and let me know what you think of this particular device. Thanks so much for watching. As always, we'll see you next time.